SEBI, SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, guidelines on the infrastructure investment trusts in which minimum 80% of the pooled money of the InvITs should be invested in completed revenue generating infrastructure projects, while the balance 20% can be invested in under construction projects, equity shares of the infrastructure companies, G6, etc. 90% of the profits generated by the InvITs should be distributed among the investors in the form of dividend. The InvITs are regulated by the SEBI. InvITs, Infrastructure Investment Trusts. Okay. The Crypto Asset Reporting Framework CARF is a new global tax transparency framework to provide for reporting and exchange of information with respect to crypto assets released by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The operations of the CARF. The CARF will enable automatic exchange of crypto asset transaction data within the jurisdiction of the residence of the taxpayers on an annual basis in a standardized manner like the CRS, Common Reporting Standard. It will target any digital representation of value that relies on a cryptographically secured distributed ledger or a similar technology to validate and secure the transactions. The Logistics Performance Index. The Logistics Performance Index. It is an index developed by the World Bank. It is an index developed by the World Bank to help the countries identify the challenges and opportunities they face in their performance on trade logistics. The last edition of the rankings was released in 2018 and 160 countries participated. The ranking is based on the survey of the operators, global freight forwarders and express carriers. Six dimensions of trade are included: customs performance, infrastructure quality, ease of arranging shipments, quality of logistic services, tracking and tracing, and timeliness. India was ranked 44 in the 2018 in the 2000 edition of the LPI. The targets of the National Logistics Policy NLP. LPI means Logistics Performance Index. NLP means National Logistic Policy. To reduce logistics costs to comparable global benchmarks by 2030. To improve India's ranking in the World Bank's Logistic Performance Index, India should be ranked among top 25 countries by 2030. To create a data-driven decision support mechanism for an efficient logistics ecosystem. Mustards account for 40% of the domestic oilseeds production, followed by soya bean and groundnut. An Indian professor has indigenously developed the technology for GM mustard. Successful commercial cultivation of GM mustard will give a fillip to the Indian science. GM mustard is herbicide tolerant. GM mustard DMH11 is herbicide tolerant. GM mustard means genetically modified mustard. DMH11 is herbicide tolerant. The Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act, SARFAESI Act. The Securities and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interest Act 2022. If a borrower defaults on a loan, the banks can give a notice period of 60 days to the borrower to repay the loans. If the borrower fails to repay within 60 days, the banks can take the following actions: take possession of the pledged assets and then lease or sell them off to recover the loan amount, take over the management of the business of the borrower, appoint a person to manage the assets. The act provides for the asset reconstruction companies to be registered and regulated by the RBI, provides for the issuance of security receipts by the ARCs. Difference between the SARFAESI Act, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. SARFAESI Act applicable only for secured financial creditors. IBC applicable for both secured and unsecured financial creditors. Unlike the IBC, the SARFAESI Act is not applicable to the operational creditors. Minimum threshold for invoking the IBC individuals 1000 rupees, companies 1 crore, individuals 1000 rupees, companies 1 crore rupees. Minimum threshold for invoking the SARFAESI Act 1 lakh rupees minimum. Part 9b in the Constitution of India relating to the cooperative societies was added by the Constitution 97th Amendment Act 2011. It also added the term the cooperative societies under Article 19 Clause 1 C and Article 43b, providing for the promotion of the cooperative societies by the state. The Central Groundwater Authority CGWA was constituted under the Environment Protection Act in 1986 to regulate and control the development and management of the groundwater resources. It can resort to penal actions and issue necessary regulatory directives under the Central Pollution Control Board. Implementation of the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, which seeks to restore the water quality. The CGWB identifies overexploited and critical areas within the states. However, the board does not have the power to stop groundwater extraction in such areas and can only notify the owners. Kunbi weaving belongs to the state of Goa. Kunbi weaving belongs to the state of Goa. Chamba Rumal, the embroidered representations of the Pahari miniatures of the region, usually practiced by the women in the region. They are made of hand-spun cotton or fine muslin and finely embroidered by hand. Danka embroidery, Udaipur and Rajasthan. The textile is decorated using small faceted metallic plates that are stitched on the cloth by hands with zari yarn. Patola weaving. Patola means Patan, Gujarat. Patola weaving, Gujarat. These are the finest examples of ikat weaving with striking designs and complex workmanship. Historically, the weavers of it came from the Salvi community. It uses the unique bandana technique of tie dyeing, which employs a range of shades along the length of every single silk or cotton thread. Article 25 Clause 1 of the Constitution. All persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right freely to process, practice and propagate religion, but the state can regulate such practice on grounds of public order, morality and health. Further, under Article 25 Clause 2 of A of the Indian Constitution, the state can regulate or restrict any economic, financial, political or other secular activity which may be associated with religious practice. Essential religious practices are those that are vital or fundamental to the religion, and if they are not followed, the religion itself will change. The essential religious practices doctrine was intended to protect religious autonomy rather than undermine it. The courts were supposed to draw this distinction with reference to the doctrines of that religion itself. Furthermore, denying essential religious practices would be a violation of Article 25, which addresses the freedom of conscience as well as free profession, practice and propagation of religion. The doctrine has evolved significantly as a result of various judicial precedents. The doctrine was originally conceived in the Shirur Muth case, in which the court made a distinction between religious and secular practices, where religious practices were considered to be those of the utmost importance to the religion, and secular activities were defined as practices associated with religion but do not really constitute an essential part of it, such as economic, financial, and political activities, and thus only religious practices were considered essential and integral and could benefit from constitutional protection. Labasana, Uttarakhand, Laba, Mussoorie. We love you, UPSC. We love you, UPSC. The Rigvedic society was a simple and largely an egalitarian society. There was no caste division, occupation was not based on birth, members of a family could adopt different occupations. However, certain differences did exist during the period. Varna or color was the basis of initial differentiation between the Vedic and non-Vedic people. The warriors, priests, and the ordinary people were the three sections of the Rigvedic tribe. The Sudra category came into existence only towards the end of the Rigvedic period. This means that the division of society in the early Vedic period was not sharp. This is indicated by the following verse in the Rigveda: I am a poet, my father is a physician, and my mother grinds grain upon the stone. Striving for wealth with varied plans, we follow our desires like cattle. The woman in society enjoyed respectable position. She was married at a proper age and could choose a husband of her own choice. She could take the part in the proceedings of the tribal assemblies called Sabha and Samiti. Nice. Agni P, Agni Prime, is a modern upgraded version of the missiles of the Agni class. It is the sixth ballistic missile in the Agni series under the Integrated Guided Missile Development Program. It is a two-staged canisterized missile with a 1000 to 2000 km range capability. Numerous cutting-edge technologies have been introduced, including composites, propulsion systems, creative guidance and control systems, and cutting-edge navigation systems. It features updated guidance and propulsion technologies and weights 50% less than Agni 3 missile. Agni missiles are surface-to-surface ballistic missiles with a great range and nuclear weapons capability. The Great Indian Bustard. It is one of the largest flying birds in the world. It has been declared as the state bird of Rajasthan. These birds are opportunist eaters. Their diet ranges widely depending on the seasonal availability of food. They feed on grass seeds, insects like grasshoppers and beetles, and sometimes even small rodents and reptiles. The species was formerly widespread across India and Pakistan. However, at present its population is estimated be of less than 200 across Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The protected areas dedicated to the Great Indian Bustards: Rajasthan, the Desert National Park, Jaisalmer and Balmer. The Desert National Park, Jaisalmer and Balmer. Gujarat, the Nalia Sanctuary in Kutch, Madhya Pradesh. The Karera Wildlife Sanctuary, the species disappeared from Madhya Pradesh in the early 90s. Okay. Andhra Pradesh, the Rollapadu Wildlife Sanctuary. The Rollapadu Wildlife Sanctuary. Conservation status: critically endangered category of the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature Red List. Listed in Schedule 1 of the Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it is also listed in Appendix 1 of the CITES. CITES means the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wildlife, Wild Fauna and Flora. Flora and Fauna. The Indian bison. It belongs to the family of wild oxen and is the tallest living and the second heaviest among the oxen. The Indian bison or gaur is a social animal. It generally lives in group size of about 30 to 40. Location: it is a native to the South Asian region and Southeast Asia. In India, the Western Ghats, the forest of central India and the forest patches in the northeast. Habitat: diet. They prefer evergreen forest and moist deciduous forest. However, they can survive in dry deciduous forests also. They are attracted to the grounds which are impregnated with salts and minerals. Conservation acts: the Indian bison is deemed as vulnerable according to the IUCN Red List. IUCN Red List. Panchayats 11th Schedule Article 243G. Municipalities 12th Schedule Article 243W. Panchayats 11th Schedule it has 29 lists, for the and municipalities 18 subjects or 18 subjects. Okay. Next. Part 9 of the Indian Constitution defines panchayats. Languages 8th Schedule Articles 344 Clause 1 and 351. Agrarian reforms 9th Schedule Article 31B. 9th Schedule deals with abolition of Jamindari system and many more. Article 31 and Article 31. The Dalits from the Christians and the Muslim communities have not yet been included within the scheduled caste. The British administrators believed that the caste-based society was practiced only in the Hindu religion, as the scriptures of any other religion did not extend legitimacy to the British-based hierarchy. It is because of this undertaking of the British, only the Hindus were allowed to be included in the Scheduled Caste Order of 1936, which was part of the Government of India Act of 1935. This was later prescribed under the Constitution Scheduled Caste Order 1950, based on Article 34 of the Indian Constitution. Historical effects to bring Sikhs and Buddhists under the Scheduled Caste. 1936. The British government, through the Government of India Scheduled Caste Order 1936, provided reservations to the scheduled caste but did not include the Indian Christians, Buddhist or the tribal religion. 1950. The first order under the provision was issued in 1950 and covered only the Hindus. 1990. The government added a similar demand from the Buddhist of Dalit origin, and the order was revised to state that no person who professes a religion different from the Hindu, the Sikh or the Buddhist religion shall be deemed to be a member of scheduled caste. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry released the National Logistic Policy. Logistic costs in India are higher proportion of the total value of the goods are as compared to the developed nation. India 13 to 14 degree compared to 7.8 degree in the advanced economies. This makes Indian exports uncompetitive and hampers industrial development. Implementation of the National Logistics Policy. A comprehensive logistics action plan CLAP will implement the policy. The interventions under the CLAP are divided into key action areas. Integrated digital logistics systems through the Unified Logistics Reference Platform to be developed by the Logistics Division under the DPIIT, the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Standardization of physical assets and benchmarking the service quality standards. Logistics, human resource development and capacity building. State engagement. EXIM. Export-import logistics. Service improvement framework. Sectoral plan for efficient logistics. facilitation of the development of the logistics park. Resilience and Sustainable Trust. The IMF's Resilience and Sustainability Trust helps the low income and the vulnerable middle income countries build resilience to external shocks and ensure sustainable growth, contributing to their longer term balance of payments stability. It complements the IMF's existing lending toolkit by providing longer term affordable financing to address longer term structural challenges, including climate change and pandemic preparedness. The RST will complement the existing lending instruments by providing affordable longer term financing to contribute to prospective balance of payments stability to enhance economic resilience and sustainability. The RST will provide policy support and affordable longer maturity financing with a 20-year maturity and a 10.5 year grace period to help build resilience against long-term risks to the balance of payments stability. Earlier in 2019, the RBI had released guidelines on tokenization for debit and credit card transactions to enhance the safety and security of the payment systems in the country. The tokenization of cards has come into being from October 1st, 2022. Tokenization is the process of replacing the customer's account number with a unique alphanumeric token, which can then be used for the transactions. The token will act as the card at the point of POS terminals instead of the card details. The token allows payments to be processed without exposing the actual account details. Hence, the online portals would not be allowed to store the card details. The International Criminal Police Organization (Interpol), established in 1923, is an intergovernmental organization comprising 195 member countries. It connects all member countries via a communication system called I-24/7. The countries use this secure network to contact each other under the General Secretariat. It also allows them to access our databases and services in real time from both central and remote locations. The organization enables the member countries to share and access data on crimes and criminals and offers a range of technical and operational support. The General Assembly is Interpol's supreme governing body, which meets once in a year. Each member country has one vote. The Interpol launched and unveiled the first ever metaverse specifically designed for law enforcement worldwide.